Doom, 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 doom. What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? What's going on? What's up? What's up? Give me a second. What's up, guys? What's going on? What's up? What's up? We're gonna get started here in a second. All right, let's go back live screen, baby. Get y'all over to this. All right, guys. So look, I wanted to make this quick, basically a quick live stream real quick, talking about the GTX, or it's not GTX anymore, the GeForce RTX 2000 series that's coming out. NVIDIA has just like kind of shocked the world at the Gamescom, showing off the new cards, the 2070, the RTX 2070, 2080, and 2080 Ti. And they've already gone on pre-order. A lot of you guys have pre-ordered already. And generally, everybody's pretty excited about the cards. What I wanted to do was actually listen to the actual conference again and try to. I'm always trying to read through the bullshit, you know what I mean? And excuse my language, but I'm always trying to read through the BS and just to see what exactly are they telling us. And for the life of me, the only thing that I could really see that NVIDIA was telling us about these new cards is that they are faster. We already know that NVIDIA cards, every single generation, are better. They're far better than the last generation. But generally speaking, you're only you really see about anywhere from 20 to 35% better performance than the last generation card sets. So for me, listening to the conference, I was hyped up. I'm still hyped. I still think the cards are going to be good, but they did a lot of talking about ray tracing and how it's going to basically kind of reinvent the wheel when it comes to graphics design, rendering, and playback and stuff like that for the consumers and whatnot. I think it's going to be an awesome card, but I kind of feel like this ray tracing that they're trying to sell you on is a little bit ahead of its time. We already know, and they've already told us. If you watched the conference, they showed off, like, I wouldn't call it gameplay, but they called it gameplay images. But it was a lot of renderings of of different real world subjects like war. You saw like some people that are in war and they get shots, close ups on the eyes. They're showing you explosions, being able to see like reflections in water puddles and off the finishings of cars and stuff like that. The reflections, and it looked freaking amazing. But they lost me when they said that. I think they said like the 2070 can outperform the Titan XP, and they were throwing out a lot of terms. It's better. It's 6 times faster. It performs better than a Titan XP. Those kind of things without showing us numbers is kind of like, it's a head scratcher, because you're basically just selling me on hype, right? And I think that's what they did. They figured out how to say a whole lot of nothing in that little bit of time that they had. And basically what they succeeded in doing was creating a hype train, talking about this ray tracing. A lot of these game developers, they're not using this technology to build games. So for you as a gamer or a consumer to think that, oh, I'm going to get this new card and this card is going to do something that my old card can't. For example, I have a 1080 Ti. If I were to get a 2080 Ti, I would assume that the card is going to utilize some type of horsepower or hardware to, render my games in a different fashion. But as a consumer, that's what I believe, because that's how they pitch it. What they don't tell you is that the game developers have to use their technology to create more software. So there's nobody using software that will really utilize ray tracing right now. And I don't honestly believe that any of these game developers within the next year are going to actually do that. I'm not saying that the card is going to be useless. What I'm saying is that NVIDIA has packed technology into this new card, which is more expensive, and it's really not going to be widely used at the moment. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to explain in a way, but know this. These cards are absolutely, positively great upgrades if you are coming from last generation 10 series, gaming on at least a 1070 or below. Upgrading to a 2080, even a 2070 would be a nice upgrade, a nice bump. Anybody who's coming from 580, from AMD's 580 or RX 480s, upgrading to a 2070 or a 2080 or even a 2080 Ti is going to be worth the upgrade. My only other gripe with NVIDIA is that because they are giving us relatively close, I'll give them benefit of the doubt, relatively close to 30% increase in performance over the previous generation, they assume that raising the price 30% to compensate is fine. And that's not fine, because if you follow that strategy and the way things have been going with NVIDIA, just like they go with Intel, in the next 4 generations, we'll be paying almost $4,000 for a card, right? If that's the logic that they continue to go by. It doesn't make sense. And I remember when the GTX 970s came out, they were about $389. And when the 1070s came out, they were about $450. NVIDIA said that they're going to be $500, $499, but on the website, you can go check it out. It has it listed for $600, and so on and so forth with the other cards. So what they advertise at the conference is not what is being reflected by their website. Also, you can go pre-order the cards on Amazon. They already have the third-party cards out as well that you can pre-order, and pretty much the same goes. To me, it's a little misleading. To me, I would consider it almost criminal in a way, because they're trying to justify 30%, 25-30% buffs by raising the price that much. Now, I know technology costs more money. It costs more money to make this card than the previous gen, but my point is that after 2 years, you see what the 1080 Ti is selling for now, retail. If you rewind the clock a little bit, and you see what the 1080 Ti debuted at, it's a stark difference. It's the same with these cards as well. Why pay a premium for something that's not really worth what it is? We all know that in 2 years' time, the 2080 Ti is not going to be selling for the price that you see listed on their website. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. So people need to just seriously don't get caught up in the hype of the marketing, because the marketing is designed to sell you a card. They're designed to sell a product. These cards will be pretty fast. They will be pretty nice. But at this cost point, I don't believe it's worth upgrading. And if you take a look, I took a look today and I saw some of the 1080 Ti's going back up to around $750 retail price when they were just a couple days ago like $689 retail. So what that's telling me is that NVIDIA is getting a little greedy. They've announced the new cards, and until now that the pre-orders have pretty much sold out, they're going to go back to the existing cards that they have a surplus of, and they're going to raise the prices back up for anybody that can't wait. You know what I mean? They can't wait, and they're going to try to sell off the rest of these cards. I think it's sad, honestly. I think it's great that we're getting new cards, but at the same time, I think that the marketing strategy and the way that they keep continually raising the prices on consumers should be criminal. And a lot of people are going to complain like I'm complaining. But the only way you can stop companies from like NVIDIA, stop companies like Intel from doing these marketing schemes to force feed us quote unquote new technology that only... You know what I mean? And then they make you pay top dollar and they increase it every single time. The only way we can stop them is literally by not buying the shit. You control, we as the consumer, you dictate what a company's product is worth. They don't dictate that. What do I mean by that? That means if they put out this card right now for $1,200, if nobody pre-ordered that shit, and if nobody bought it because they truly believe that the card was overpriced and they're tired of the bullshit, then NVIDIA would have no choice but to lower the price. Some people are going to say, well, no, they wouldn't be able to do that. They wouldn't do it. Of course they would. Because their livelihood is on you opening up your wallet and paying for a product. So if nobody doesn't pay for it because it's BS, then guess what? Eventually they have to lower the prices so people will buy it. Right? You got to remember that the power is in your hands. They're only allowed to do this shit is because y'all keep paying for it. So now basically TI owners or people who are enthusiasts who usually buy the TI versions of their cards within the past couple of generations. Now they're forcing TI enthusiasts to basically up their game and upgrade their game. So now, you know, they just raised the price point. So now TI owners are basically going to have to pay as much money to basically buy like a Titan. You know what I mean? The TIs were created for people who couldn't afford the ridiculous price tag of the Titan. So they made the TI to obviously get that margin of people who have money but don't want to spend it. And that's what the TI is for. So now they're forcing TI enthusiasts to basically purchase a Titan $1,200 card, and they're going to continue doing that, right? And remember, these are Founders Edition cards, so Founders Edition cards are always more expensive. And well, I don't know. I'm not going to say they're not the best overclockers. They're probably the best overclockers on water. Take the air off, take that shroud off, take all that stuff off and put it underwater, and you'll probably see way better overclocking numbers. But generally speaking, guys, you know, it's hype. You know what I mean? I would say wait until they can show us benchmarks against this generation, against the present generation of cards. I want to see benchmarks from the 2070, the 2080, and 2080 Ti compared to the 10 series graphics cards from this current generation. I'm saying current because they haven't been released. These new cards haven't been released yet until September 20th. So I would like to see that. And to me, I don't buy nothing until I see benchmarks. And if I see a benchmark, right, I don't want to just hear somebody say, "Oh, it's faster." You know what I mean? Oh, it's faster than this card. Okay, how is it faster? If you're telling me it performs better where does it perform better? Does it perform better in certain softwares like Adobe Premiere, 3D softwares, rendering softwares? Does it perform better in gaming with frames per second? Tell me and break down how and what performs better over another card, over something else. How does it perform better? Where is its strengths? Where is its weaknesses? Where is it mostly alike? You have to really, I feel like you got to come, they should have came with some stats, right? And right now, everybody is under NDA. Everybody's under NDA. They're the ones who broke the news, so they can do that. But when they start sending out these sample cards to reviewers, they're going to be under NDA for a long time. That gets closer and closer to September 20th. And the reason why they do that is because they don't want to damage their own marketing campaign if it turns out that, hey, guess what? This card's only like, the 2080 is only like 15% faster than the 1080 Ti. They're not going to do that. They're not going to allow news like that to come out before the launch usually they wait till right up until the launch or directly right after it goes on sale to the rest of the consumers publicly before the reviews start dropping in. And that's to help protect backlash and, basically almost like, it's almost self-sabotage sometimes, if your product isn't up to par. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you wait for benchmarks, man. You know what I mean? I was telling Miss K yesterday, I said, I think we got at least 2 more years with the 1080 Ti's to be relevant. Because for me, in gaming, 4K 60, dope. If I can max out my frame rates, I don't need another card. My 1080 Ti does everything I need it to do and more. And until I see games struggling to play, that's how I know I needed to upgrade my 970s and SLI, because I upgraded with the 1080 Ti. To me, that was a worth it upgrade. But when I started playing games like Nier Automata, and I could not run 4K 60, and I was struggling to run 3440 by 1440p on Nier Automata with 970s because the VRAM was just fucking maxed out. That's when I start looking at games that I'm playing and seeing how well it's performing, how much it's struggling, and then I make a decision on what to upgrade to. That's how you should upgrade your software or upgrade your hardware, is by figuring out what you need, your PC and what you need from your PC, and how you can get it. Not everybody's gaming at 4K 60. Not everybody's gaming above that. Not everybody's gaming at 2K, 2.5K, or 1440p. Most people are still on 1080p. So, figure out what you need and what you want, and don't get caught up in the marketing hype, and you'll be good. But these cards are dope. I'm not saying that these cards ain't dope. I'm saying these cards are dope. What I'm saying is that NVIDIA is trying to get you with some marketing gimmicks. And the gimmicks is talking to you about ray tracing when nobody knows what the fuck ray tracing is. And gaming developers aren't using ray tracing. And gaming developers probably aren't going to use ray tracing because it's not necessary. You see what I'm saying? So, and I can see ray tracing being very, very applicable when in terms of like VR or AR, augmented reality or virtual reality, for those who don't know. I see them being very, very useful in those scenarios. But I mean, let's think about it for a minute. Call of Duty is not going to make their next game based on ray tracing technology. Battlefield may or may not, or DICE may or may not, or even EA may or may not utilize ray tracing on their upcoming games after this year right away. What games are really going to use ray tracing? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like it's very applicable in our space, and it's just extra bullshit. Do y'all remember physics? Physics X? You remember physics? Straight up BS, right? It's straight up BS. That's how they get it. We had physics, and now they're giving you ray tracing. It's the same shit. It's technology built into the card that you can't even use right now. And by the time people are using ray tracing, by the time software developers are utilizing ray tracing, we're talking about a couple years from now, at the very least, right? And a couple years from now, our cards are not going to be, I don't feel like they're even going to be adequate enough to really do what they're going to be able to do in 2 years' time with ray tracing, as far as software developers. Because all NVIDIA is doing right now is saying, here's the hardware to run and to utilize ray tracing, but nobody's using it yet. So why are you going to go out and buy it? You know what I'm saying? It's the gimmick. They're making you think that ray tracing has something to do with gaming and the performance of making it faster. Faster at what? Show us some benchmarks. You know what I mean? Everybody would have scolded AMD if they would have came out and talked about their Threadripper and how many cores it had and how better it was at performance, quote unquote, and you know how fast it was, and throwing out all these terms to make it seem like it's better than the competition, Intel. And they showed, and if they would have showed no statistics, no benchmarks to put that into perspective to the people who are going to be buying their chip. If they didn't do that, if they didn't show real world, real time benchmarks, people would have laughed at them. They would have been like, get the fuck out of here. We're not buying that. You know what I mean? They would have been like, people would have been laughing them to the moon. But they came out, and not only did they present their product, they gave benchmarks and said, this is what we can do. After that, nobody really needs to speculate anything. It's there. They're showing you legitimate benchmarks. Here's my wallet. NVIDIA didn't do that. So we're going to be waiting. I'm going to be waiting for them to see when they're going to do that, because I would never pre-order anything unless it's got some real benchmark stuff behind it to show me why it's better. You show me why it's better and why I should spend more money, right? That's all I'm saying. You know, you can get a 1080 Ti right now for less than a 2080, a regular 2080. Show me benchmarks that tells me why the 2080 is better than the 1080 Ti. How much better, and what it's better at. And if it's better at games, show me games and show me the difference between the two cards and tell me why it's better and how much better it is. Because I'm telling you, 3 to 7 frames is not a deal breaker for me. If something is 3 to 7 frames faster, hey, you don't even notice it with your naked eye any damn way, unless it's like sub like 30, 40 frames a second. That sucks. But generally speaking, if something's only giving me a slight increase of like 7 to 10 frames or something, I don't know if that's really worth spending, the hundreds and hundreds of dollars more than what I already got. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And it's possible that even if you have a badass card, that you're not bottlenecked somewhere else. It's probably your CPU that's bottlenecked. It's probably, there's so many factors. Are you running dual channel memory? Are you running single channel memory? Like, what are you doing? How is your rig set up? And is it optimized to do what you want it to do? That's first and foremost. Don't just run out and buy the next greatest game card just because they say it's better. Do some research or wait for the benchmarks. I'll catch you guys in a little bit later. We're going to be playing some more Rainbow Six Siege, Operation Grim Sky. I'm about to say Operation Parabellum. But yeah, Operation Grim Sky. We're going to see what's up and have some fun. But until then, I will catch you guys a little bit later on today, this evening, to do that. Catch you later.